The last thing, and probably the most important thing when you're settling a lawsuit or settling a claim, is whether or not you have what's called a permanent injury. And that's a fight every time we have in every case, is whether the injury is permanent. And because if you don't have a permanent injury, you can't get what's called pain and suffering damages in Florida. And that's the big component of damages that looks to the problems you've had in the past and the injuries and how it affects you on a day-to-day basis up until that point of settlement, and how it's going to affect you in the future. And all of those things are so important to be analyzed. But most importantly, we analyze them, but then we have to fight to get those damages for you. So there's a component of past medical expenses. You should get your past medical expenses that are not paid by PIP, that 20%. And depending on if you go over that $10,000 mark, you might get more past medical expenses that have to be reimbursed. That's important. Another important part about past medical expenses that people that try to handle stuff on their own don't realize sometimes, because there's liens involved. And we have to pay those medical providers their balances. And a lot of times, unfortunately, medical providers don't adjust their balances correctly. And we look at that very, very closely. We look to make sure that they've made the proper adjustments, they made the proper PIP adjustments, because a lot of times the bill will say you owe $1,000, but you really only owe $100. So that's a very important analysis that's done by our office in every case. And people just don't understand when they handle cases on their own that they have to do that analysis. Another problem is they don't realize that they have to pay people back. They have to pay their health insurance back for anything the health insurance paid. The biggest problem is sometimes they're on Medicare. And if you don't pay Medicare back, and we know how to pay it back, we know how to negotiate with Medicare. If you don't pay Medicare back, here's what's going to happen to you. Medicare is going to cut you off from further Medicare benefits for every type of treatment you have. And that's about as dangerous as a thing as you can do. And people that are handling it on their own don't understand that process. Future medical expenses is another component of damages. Future medical expenses a lot of times are just not considered by the insurance companies when we're settling cases. We have to fight for those damages. What happens is the doctors will give us information, give you information on what your future medical expenses are going to be. We look at that information, we analyze what makes sense in terms of what the doctor said, and then we extrapolate those damages. If it's something that needs to be once a month, we extrapolate those damages over the course of your lifetime to get you future medical expenses. Those are very important.